It's year 3 for Brian Kelly at LSU, and there's been a lot of highs. Back-to-back 10-win seasons, an SEC West Division title, a Heisman Trophy winner, 2 future first-round wide receivers, and a ton of offensive star power. But there have been some negatives, primarily on the defensive side, that's kept them out of the college football playoff. And last season, when you have the type of year that Jaden Daniels had, you're going to let that linger and fester, and you're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. But what are some takeaways that we can look at from the spring game to make sure that we are talking about LSU like the Tigers of old and one that could make it to the college football playoff? Let's go discuss, but if you're new here, welcome on into the channel. Make sure that you like the video, hit the subscribe button down below. That way you don't miss a single episode of Just Saying It. Follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson, Twitter, X, Instagram, wherever you get your listening systems, wherever you're on social media, make sure you're following me. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, and college football aficionados, plus the LSU faithful about this channel. Because let's be real, I'm not trying to be the #1 YouTuber talking about my favorite sport. I would love to, but I would love to create the #1 community in all of college football, not even just on this platform, but even well past the likes of social media. So, key takeaways from LSU spring game. Let's talk about the quarterback position, because we got to temper the expectations just a little bit. And I know that's really hard, but let's reel you back in. Come on, LSU fans. You're here. You're good. Garrett Nussmeier is a stud. And we knew that Garrett Nussmeier was a stud. We have seen on countless occasions, whether it be in the last 2 bowl games or when he stepped up in the SEC championship against Georgia, there was a lot of promising potential there. And yesterday or on Saturday, kind of the same thing. 7-7 passing, 2 scoring drives, over 145 yards, had a really good pass downfield to a brand new receiver in Xavier Thomas, 45 yards. That is something that you can feel so confident in moving forward. And then you go deep again and you find Kyron Lacy, who last year was the #3. Now he's the #1. And you also got to remember you have CJ Daniels involved in this offense too from Liberty. He was a 1,000-yard pass catcher. There are weapons on weapons on weapons. And the good news is, if you are Brian Kelly and if you are a Tigers fan, Mike Denbrock was the architect behind the Heisman-worthy season from a guy in Jaden Daniels. But he left some of the blueprints behind to where they're going to be able to pick up the pieces and really work without him. He may have success in South Bend, and he may have his own Heisman-worthy quarterback in Riley Leonard, but that does not mean that the swamp, and that means the Tiger Stadium, is filled to the brim with flaws and mitigations. There's still going to be a really good offense. And part of that reason, they have a very good run game. You had to feel very confident in what you saw with Caleb Jackson. Led all running backs, 59 yards, 14 carries. He had a 32-yard touchdown run. A lot of consistency when it came to moving and grooving in the open field. And the reason why this is so important, Jaden Daniels was your leading rusher last year. Guy had over 1,000 yards. He's one of like 4 players in the history of college football to actually be a 3,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher. It's why he won the Heisman Trophy. And there's going to be people out there that go, well, so-and-so should have won the Heisman Trophy. So-and-so did enough to put up the numbers. Look at his consistency. Yeah, look at his consistency. And then remember that Jaden Daniels did that with his legs too. That was the Heisman. And there was no argument about it. But Garrett Nussmeier is not going to be that dude. He may sling it around the yard, and he may be the reincarnation of Uncle Rico, even though he is a fictional character, but he's not going to be mobile. I'm not saying he won't duck his shoulder and push forward for a first down. I'm saying that he is not going to be a 1,000-yard runner. So having a guy such as Caleb Jackson put on the performance that he did, that gives you a lot of consistency and a lot of relaxation when it comes to this rushing attack. Offensive line, they still have some question marks on the interior, but Will Campbell, super stud. He's going to be a future first-round pick. That's going to be an all-SEC tackle next year. You could probably say him and Caden Proctor are going to go back and forth on who is going to be the #1 tackle. Right now, Campbell has the edge. Well, he should after last season going into this season. But let's talk about that defense, because I know that there's a lot of LSU fans right now saying, oh, God, please, no, not again. Not again. Not again. And Brian Kelly's got to be saying kind of the same thing internally. Not again. You couldn't have the same type of problems that you had last year if you want to be a champion team. And the big thing is that in the SEC, not only does it mean more, it means more teams are going to be represented in the college football playoff. 12 spots are available. I can almost guarantee you that you're going to pencil in probably 5, probably right in pen 4, maybe leave 1 in pencil that you could just erase later on. But LSU is one of those teams that isn't perfect, even if their offense looks really good. Here's the good news. It's spring football. It's a brand new system underneath Blake Baker. Baker worked with lesser talent during his time at Missouri, and he was still able to get a top 20 unit. He had a great scoring drive, and more importantly, he was exceptional on third down when it came to scheming up plays. So you get that version. And by the way, LSU at this point also probably realizes, hey, it's really cool that we have some of these players. It's really great that we have some talent. We're moving Harold Perkins back to off-ball linebacker, which should have been the move from the jump. Always should have been the move from the jump. Never should have been anything else, Brian Kelly. I'm thankful that you finally got there. Thank you. But you're probably going to go in the transfer portal and add in a few more talents. And for Perkins, whoever is blocking in front of him is probably going to create opportunities for him to make plays behind the line of scrimmage, be that linebacker that we saw at times during his freshman year. Go back and look at that game against Arkansas when he was playing spy against Malik Hornsby. Like, if you get that version, that is an elite dude that is going to be consistently terrorizing quarterbacks, running backs, and everyone else. But it starts with the trenches. They got to get better up there. The secondary is hit and miss. They have some young talent. They have some players that you're still trying to see how they're going to adjust to SEC play, and they're still trying to adapt to what is the type of receiver, like a Xavier Thomas with pure speed, like a CJ Daniels with great size, like Kyron Lacey that can do a little bit of everything. I don't worry. Not yet. I will worry in Las Vegas week 1 when they play USC, and you do see them go for over 575 yards. That would be a little bit of a concern. If they do give up only, let's say, like 325 yards, okay, you feel a lot better about this team. You feel a lot more consistent about where this direction is going. Overall, LSU, there's still some question marks, but for the most part, the offensive consistency, which has been the bread and butter the last 2 years in Baton Rouge, is going to be fine. You're going to get a good quarterback, even if there are some questions when it comes to the consistency of reps. The one thing I do want to say, the only thing I want to say when it comes to LSU's quarterback room, I like the backups in AJ Swan. I like what you have in terms of guys that are going to be able to see at least some reps. They all played pretty decently as a whole. Swan was 4 for 9. Colin Hurley was 4 for 6. So I think you're good there. But the main thing is just temper the expectation with Garrett Nussmeier just a little bit. Let's see him play 4 quarters, like not just against a team in a bowl game. Like, let's see it in week 1, how he adjusts to USC. Let's see it on week 4 when you play your first SEC game. Let's see that. And once you get there, then I think that you'll have a better understanding. But overall, the offense is going to be fine. Defensively, you brought over Blake Baker. You paid a lot of money to get him. I think that he is going to be fine. You also made sure that you brought in some transfers, and you're going to bring in some more transfers in the next several weeks. This will be one of those teams that I think is hyper attentive and aggressive in adding in trench players, both offensive line, defensive line. Maybe they get a safety as well. I'm excited to see what LSU does in year 3. I think they are a playoff team based off of what we've seen from the offense. Defensively, if you just find ways to minimize the flaws, you're going to be a really good roster. And you're probably going to be a team that can even make it to the national championship. I like LSU. I think LSU is a good roster as a whole. More importantly, I think they're built to be successful going into the month of November. Leave a comment down below your overall thoughts on LSU. Do you believe that they are a team on the come up, a team that can be sustainable? Do you think that there is a lot of positivity surrounding this roster going into 2024? Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionados, SEC fans, LSU faithful across the country about this channel, because we're on the race to become not only the #1 YouTube show on college football, but we want to become the #1 community when it comes to speaking about our favorite sport. Follow me on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, at Mr. Cole Thompson. Slide in the DMs on Twitter, at Mr. Cole Thompson. And if you want a one-off video done with a question that you have, email me at colethompsonwriting.com. You know the name, you know the brand. Don't miss a single episode of just saying it. And until next time, folks, later.